Hey there, and welcome back to our channel. I'm Sarah Noked, CEO and founder of OBM School, and I teach people just like you my strategies and tips for building a sustainable business in the online space, landing clients that you love, and building a business by design. And I'm really excited because today I'm interviewing one of my students, Chelley Wild, all about her experience as an online business manager. Now, Chelley is from England, and in today's episode, I really want to dive into what a day in the life of her life looks like as an online business manager so that you can get a better idea of if this is a great fit for you or not. So without further ado, let's check out that interview with Chelley. Hey, Chelley, welcome to our show. I'm so glad to have you here. If you would just take a second to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about yourself and your background.
Absolutely. Hi, everyone. I'm Chelley Wild. As you'll probably tell from my accent, I'm based in the UK. I've officially been an OBM for about a year now. Previous to that, I spent 15 years as an e-commerce business analyst and project manager. So that was working with a variety of different clients, from like big multinational corporates down to smaller entrepreneurs and stuff. And actually didn't know that the OBM role existed, but was kind of doing that role in a roundabout way. So yeah, last year was the year that I heard whispers of this phrase OBM on the online world, and I was very intrigued and researched it and found you, Sarah, and yeah, it's all kind of snowballed from there. So yeah, I absolutely love it. I'm obviously in relatively still the startup stages, I guess, of this particular iteration of the business, but so far so good, and really feel like I found my sweet spot with everything. So yeah, excited to jump in.
That's so exciting. So tell us a little bit more about your corporate past. And I think more specifically, because I meet a lot of women and some men, but mostly women every day who I talk to them a lot about their transferable skills, and what really goes into becoming an OBM has a lot to do with your history and where you've come from. So can you speak a little bit to some of those transferable skills? Because I feel like yours are very aligned because you come from the e-commerce side of things, but are there things in particular that really transferred over well from your previous career?
Yeah, so definitely I would say, oh goodness, there's loads actually, but probably the word that I hear so much, and I was actually on a client call this morning with someone that is so helpful as an OBM, is proactivity. And it's absolutely what all of our clients are looking for. And so if you have that mindset, or you're used to working in a way in your corporate job where, you don't kind of just let problems materialize, you're actually proactively kind of keeping tabs on things, going and having conversations, always thinking about how can we do this better, furthering your own knowledge, researching, collaborating. So you're really taking like an active stance in your own career. And that also kind of translates to, as OBMs, we talk a lot about the marketing mindset or the business mindset as well. So translating that for the benefit of our clients as well. So for example, when you're keeping an eye on their metrics and their stats and you see something come up, perhaps that means that, we could try something else for this next launch, because this particular month we saw a big bump in signups to the newsletter list or something like that. So kind of just really wanting to get immersed in what you're doing, being very proactive. And also my kind of project management skills have really, really come in handy as well. So just the benefit of, being well organized, being able to kind of chunk a big project or a big idea into those manageable steps and making it
planning. Yes,
exactly. Yeah. Making it so that you feel comfortable, that you know what you're trying to achieve, when it has to be done, how we're going to do it, and then be able to translate that into not only your conversations with the business owner, but also the team. So I regularly ran teams of up to like 15, 20 people in my corporate life. So just, getting very comfortable with that, like, hey guys, we're all in this together, a bit of coaching, bit of managing. So yeah, I'm really lucky that a lot of my skills have been very easily transferred, but I know that lots of OBMs have come from all kinds of different backgrounds. And so I think, yeah, the main ones would kind of be that proactivity and that kind of energy and enthusiasm to get stuck in, and then also the management and organizational side of things as well.
I heard when you were talking about that, I was just hearing leadership, really come through.
Yeah.
You really need to be able to exercise that leadership management kind of style to lead the team and motivate and make people really happy and excited about what they're doing. Cause sometimes it is like mundane day-to-day stuff. So I love that you've had all these transferable skills, especially with the project management piece. Cause I feel like a lot of us come from that background, whether we've done it in corporate or just life in general. So it's nice to hear that that's something that's translated over well for you. What does a typical, so one of the questions we always love to address here is like, what's a typical day in the life look like for you? I know that over the last year, you know, we've been working a lot together and you've made a lot of strides towards, you know, continuing to build a business that you love. So what does a typical day look like, starting with maybe how many clients you're managing at this point? Like, you don't have to get into the specifics of who they are. You know, we want to keep it confidential, you know, and as much as you're willing to share here.
Absolutely. Yeah. So I usually work with 1 to 2 retainer clients at any one time. So I have one at the moment. She is a 20-hour-a-month retainer client. So I've been working with her for nearly a year. And I'm also in the process of signing another one, which will probably be about 40 hours a month. I know other OBMs that have lots and lots of different retainer clients. Personally, I have a very ideas-based brain. So there's only so many people's businesses that I can keep in my brain at any one time.
Important point to bring up. You know, it's like you can't hold all these different visions and goals in your mind. So that's important. So 2 like 60 hours also. I mean, I always say that 90 to 100 hours is full-time OBM. So that's almost full-time OBM anyways, right?
Yeah, so I like to keep a balance. So I love my retainer clients. I really love building those really strong relationships with people and being able to, you know, really make changes in the business over time and like build that trust. That absolutely juices me. I really love that. And then I usually work with a couple of project clients as well. So at the moment, I'm working with another client who has booked me for a series of ongoing projects, which kind of all fit together. But she's not in the position to want to retain a OBM, but we're working together. And so that's like a nice opportunity to kind of top up those extra hours on top without the pressure of you know, being kind of available to a retained client all the time and all of that kind of stuff. So
it is a long-term commitment.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's how I choose to chunk things up at the moment. So in terms of what my day looks like, I try to either use a half day or a full day chunk per client, because I find it very, you know, that kind of context switching thing can be very disruptive. And if anyone's read Deep Work by Cal Newport, he talks a lot about how long it actually takes you to switch from kind of one thing to the other. So if you can possibly avoid going from like client A team meeting to client B project work to like discovery call, you know, in the space of like 3 or 4 hours, then always a good thing.
Hence why we all suck at multitasking. Yeah, it's really hard.
Exactly. It's a myth. Multitasking is a myth.
So so you chunk out your days. So typically what does your morning look like when on a particular day, when you're working on one particular client? What does your day look like when you start your day?
So I am quite an early bird. So I usually get up relatively early and have at least an hour to myself, journaling.
You're my kind of woman. Goals. I am the same way.
I love it.
Quiet.
Yes. The world is kind of magical at that time of the morning. So I love it. And so actually I use that time to kind of almost like sink into myself and think about, you know, what do I want? What's good for me? What am I excited about? Because I think it's when you have lots of clients, it's very easy to get like sucked into other people's desires and goals and everything. And of course, you like that's absolutely what you're there for, right? So it's all about kind of supporting them in those goals. But you know, it's important also to always keep kind of one eye on like, where is this going for me? And am I happy? And what do I need? And all of that kind of stuff. So my morning routine is like kind of my time, I guess, before I get started. And then when I log on, I tend to just check out the day's itinerary. If there's any meetings, say discovery call with a new client, then I'll make sure to schedule in at least half an hour before that slot to actually do my due diligence on their website, their questionnaire responses, and think about, how I want to structure that meeting with them.
That's proactivity right there. Love it.
Well, yes, you want to make a good first impression, right? So, and then if I have regular client calls with retainers, which I often do have at least one or two team meetings and one-to-ones with my clients every week, then I try to tend to chunk the surrounding hours of those calls into that client's workload, if that makes sense.
That's smart.
I tend to do that. Obviously, with retainer clients, you're also time tracking as well, so it just makes that a little bit easier and less bitty. But I have happily got into the habit of actually having a scheduled lunch break and a scheduled end to the day as well. So yes, that really helps keep me sane.
Time blocking, isn't that it? It's a beautiful thing. You got your hour morning, you have your lunchtime hour, and then you have the cutoff. Because I think for us working from home, from our, from the luxury of working from home, is that yes, you have the comforts of home, but then it's very hard to turn off the work. So I think it is very important to have a cutoff time.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, unfortunately, just because I've technically ended my day, that doesn't mean my brain always turns off.
Yeah, I know. I know.
Often have like the best client ideas, at like 3 o'clock in the morning, but there we go. But I kind of try and add something to my evenings as well. So as you know, at the moment, I'm training for a half marathon. So if I have some kind of meaty project or like fun activity in the evenings, then it kind of draws my mind away from client work and stuff. So
and when you run, are you thinking about client ideas? Like, do you find that time and do you ever channel that into your own business development?
Oh God, yeah. I mean, I'm literally, one of my clients described me as an ideas popcorn machine the other day.
Cutest thing ever. I hope you get that in a testimonial. Yeah. And it's always fresh and always hot.
Exactly. It's like your favorite flavor of popcorn, whatever that is. So yeah, I'm literally like constantly coming up with ideas for my own business and for everyone else's. So I am a massive fan of Trello. So I could sometimes use other project management tools for clients, but personally, I've used and loved Trello for many years now. And so I literally just have what I call my ideas incubator on there. And so every kind of little light bulb that goes off, I always drop it in there and then periodically come back and kind of check out like, what feels like juicy to create next.
That's very smart. That's a great tip right there, guys. I really love that. So I want to come back for a second to the client that you deal mostly project-based on. And I'm wondering if you can share with us some of the kinds of projects that you work on as an OBM with this client.
So yes, the initial project that I did for her, which has subsequently led on to all the others, is yes, a very nice dating project. What I like to call the starter suite of SOPs. So standard operating procedures, the OBM's bread and butter in some ways. And this particular client has got a really, really strong business, really strong brand, amazing clients, testimonials, social media marketing, etc. Has been let down by a VA before. So I created SOPs in collaboration with her on those processes and then presented those back to her with my recommendations on tech stacks, how to streamline the processes, improvements, etc. And then she loved that and was blown away by it. And then obviously off the back of that, those recommendations, someone needs to implement them.
Right.
So guess what? I'm here.
SOPs. So when you started working with this client, you were mainly focused on the organization of her business?
This client has a really strong business. So she's been in business for a number of years, really strong marketing, really strong testimonials, products and services clients. She's got a really kind of great business that's cooking on gas.
Does she have a VA?
Well, so that was my other discovery when I started working with her, is that she'd had a VA in the past and had been a bit burned by it and hadn't had a great experience. So she was very reticent to bring on other retainer contractors, whether that was OBMs or VAs or whatever. So as part of our kind of consultations and stuff, obviously we discussed the VA thing, and we're in the process of recruiting a VA for her at the moment. So she definitely needs like a doer in her business, which is obviously hopefully not an OBM, or at least not for long. But the initial project that I did for her was to take her core 7 business processes that were kind of the most painful in her business. So it was things like client and on and offboarding, posting to social media, dealing with like failed membership payments and stuff like that. So all the things that drove her mad and
operations back. It sounds like all of her operations back end.
Pretty much, yeah. And then, so obviously worked with her collaboratively, put together a suite of SOPs, which were like the foundation for improving the back end of her business, and then presented those back to her with recommendations of like tech stacks and how to streamline and make the processes more efficient, and what could be handed over to a VA and stuff like that. So off the back of that, obviously all of those improvements needed to be brought about. So luckily for my client, I was there to help. Yes. And we've now just done a series of smaller and larger projects to change that. So setting up, for example, new software for her, streamlining those processes, looking at Zapier.
I know. I don't know how to say it either.
That. Is it French? I don't know. Anyway, kind of all of those nice little chunks of kind of technology that can be really useful, and automating things, putting the funnel together and doing welcome sequences and stuff like that. So yeah, just really great chunks of work. And it's been really, really enjoyable. I really like the finite nature of the work. I find it very satisfying when you kind of are super clear on what you're delivering for someone, and then you go away, do an amazing job, present it back to them, and then you're like, oh, lovely, it's done now, which is obviously a slightly different vibe from retainer clients, where you're very much there for the long haul. So I find like having both is quite a nice balance.
Oh, 100%. I think that is such a nice balance. So amazing. So it sounds to me like, are all of these clients based in the UK, or they're all over the place typically?
So one of my clients is an American based in France.
Oh, wow.
So that's an hour ahead of me, which works perfectly well. And then the other 2 are both UK based. But definitely the kind of the European and African and British time zones work really well together. So there's a ton of clients there, but also sort of like Eastern time zones as well in the States and Canada are very doable. But I'm just very lucky that my clients are all quite close to me. So
yeah, that's lovely. Chelley, when you made the transition from corporate, did you do anything in between, or did you go straight to OBM?
Took some time off. Does that count?
Yes. Very important. Take some time off.
Yeah. I was actually, last year, and I was working for a really, really big international corporation, and basically just completely burnt out. And I think I'd been pushing myself for a very long time, and kind of, putting that little voice that says, oh, hello, not everything's correct. Not everything's right.
That's like, hey, you can do this for yourself and have more freedom and flexibility. It's like, shut up.
Exactly. So I've been ignoring that for a while. And then, I just got the message like, can't do this anymore. So I took a little bit of time out, and then then this mysterious OBM role came into my world, and it's all been uphill from there. So
that's great. So what advice would you share with other aspiring, I guess people who are wanting to escape their corporate 9-to-5 or aspiring to become an OBM? Like, what sort of words of wisdom, no pressure, would you share to give them, some encouragement?
Oh, yes. Well, my dear friends, if that is you, I am very excited for you and your journey. I can tell you from experience that it is absolutely possible. And if you're used to operating in a business environment, the transition really is not that jarring. You will be absolutely fine. A couple of things that have really, really helped me. So I would say, firstly, that I have been working against my natural inclination in some ways, which is a real type A personality, but to very intentionally build my business. And by that, I mean not rushing into things too fast, not saying yes to everything and everyone, and actually really taking the time to think about what is the lifestyle that I need to help me to be a well person and a happy person, and then like very intentionally structuring my business around that. And it might, when you do that exercise yourself, it might not look the same as other people that you're following or you're comparing yourself to, and that's totally okay. And one of my favorite things about the OBM world is that there are so many different offerings or business models that you can use under the OBM kind of blanket term to almost like create your own puzzle that feels really good to you. And so I would say, like, if it calls to you, then don't necessarily think that like you have to do all retainer clients or you have to do all project work or, you know, whatever it is. There's absolutely kind of options that you can pull in to create your perfect recipe. And then my other tip would be make sure that you get a community around you, because I know, you know, Sarah, your community was the first one that I came across when I just became curious initially about the role. And then it honestly has just been so valuable to just have people to kind of, you know, when you're having like one of those days you think you're going mad.
Yes. And you complain to your partner and they're like, I don't even know what you do, you know, or you're my mother who's like, I don't know what to do.
Exactly.
People you can talk to. And, you know, I voice concerns and ask for feedback. Yes. So important.
Yeah. Absolutely. So that's been totally critical. And, you know, even just for myself, like, amazingly found another OBM who literally lives 5 minutes down the road from me in the program. So just those wonderful.
What are the odds, honestly? Like,
I know, like it's just
I want that in my life. Yeah, that's like a dream. That really is a dream. So I'm glad to. I mean, part of my why is really about building this community where like-minded OBMs can come together and support one another. So that's great for me to hear that. And very fun. Yes. I mean, that's really some really great wisdom, because I agree that no two OBMs are alike. And I try to really emphasize that the transferable skills and like the special sauce that you bring from your corporate life, and even the things I did honestly in high school, really as part-time jobs, really kind of, you know, pepper my experience as an OBM. And it's a wonderful, really telling experience and personal growth journey that we all go on as entrepreneurs. So it's really nice that you shared that piece with us. Are there any tips? Because I think the other piece that I want to kind of leave everyone here with do you have any tips that you could offer on potential OBMs finding clients? Because you are a person who has always, you know, in all the years in the year that I've known you, it feels like forever. But, you know, you seem to really connect with people and to easily land clients. Is there some special sauce that you have hidden under your armpit that you can share with us about that? Because I just feel like you've got something that we all need to know what that is.
Well, thank you so much for that compliment. It doesn't always feel true for me, but I think one of the great things about OBM work, and particularly retainer clients, is that you don't actually need millions of clients. So I actually had a branding and photography business a few years ago where I was working with small businesses and entrepreneurs on sort of marketing and branding, and obviously that's a very kind of finite small project with a small amount of revenue coming in. And so I was constantly marketing, trying to find loads of clients, you know, like 10, 20 clients a month kind of thing to do that with. And the beauty of, you know, retainer clients, for example, is that, you know, you only need 1 to 3. And so it very much is about quality, not quantity. And so I guess I would say, my personal hunch is that actually it's better to be more proactive and actually go after people or connect with people that you genuinely are interested in their business. You genuinely have a connection with them. In another world, you could actually probably be really good friends with them. And, you know, you're actually you're building a relationship with someone that you might see or talk to every day for the next 2 or 3 years. So it's really important that you respect them and you like them and you trust that they respect you as well.
Yes.
And so, yeah, I mean, I'm obviously still in the initial stages of my particular business, but that's certainly served me well. And actually, a lot of my clients have come from previous connections that I've made and networking in, example, Facebook groups and stuff like that, in masterminds. And as you say, Sarah, in your course, going to where your ideal clients are, where they hang out. And so that might be, you know, conferences or seminars, just making those like genuine connections rather than always having that kind of, let me sell this person something mindset, but actually, you know, building the trust first.
And I loved how you talked about, you know, making sure that you're aligned with them personally. Cause I always joke, I feel like I say this all the time, but I joke about how I niche on personality all the time. And whether or not that's true, cause, you know, sometimes, I mean, there are definitely like niches and the kinds of entrepreneurs I've worked with, and it's evolved over the years. I do really feel that if you cannot align yourself personally with their vision and their goals, in a very personal way, then there's just no future and no longevity there. So I really appreciate you sharing all of that. So thank you, Chelley, for this time and for sharing your experience as an online business manager. Now, for those of you watching here today who are looking for an OBM or want to learn more about you, Chelley, how can they get in touch with you? Where should they go?
So you can find me at my website, which is the-business-whisperer.com. And also I am on Instagram and Facebook. You'll find me business_whisperer there as well. And it would be a pleasure to connect. If you'd like to download a free guide to see how an OBM could help your business, if you're in the right place, then you can absolutely do that on my website as well.
Thank you, Chelley, for that. And for those of you who are interested in learning more about becoming an OBM, you can head on over to obmschool.com and learn more about some of our programs and check out our freebies, which we will also post below this video. Thank you guys, and we'll see you again for another one of our OBM spotlights. Thanks, everyone.